As a child, when I saw his imagery, I realized that it was related to his work, and I realized that it was microscopic imagery, and I knew that his work related to the brain, to neuroscience, but that was about it. It was a big mystery what this imagery really was of, parts of something or a whole. I couldn't know much about it. My father was very serious. He was very quiet. He was kind. I felt loved by him, but he didn't want to be disturbed. He rarely spoke about his work. We had one large image in the house blown up. It had such a prominent place in our house for so many years, but it was nothing to discuss. We knew it related to his work and what he cared about. It didn't occur to us to ask more about it. I suppose I just assumed I wouldn't know any more about it. I was making paintings for years, and the process was I would tape the sheet of paper down on a wood surface. And often I like the effect of the paint, the way it settled on the tape, sometimes even more than the image I was trying to make work out. The inherent qualities of the materials were more interesting than the image that I might have an idea to create. They just happened on their own. There were these microcosms, often these vast landscapes on this tiny scale. It's kind of ridiculous to paint on that surface, but it made these interesting patterns and opened up possibilities. I eventually found rolls, large rolls. It was coated in a way that repelled the water-based paint. I mixed many colors for the larger paintings, but when I focused on the tape surfaces, black and white paints, a grayscale, seemed to be the way to go. With paint, there's always this material, this visceral material. And it got me thinking of just the ephemeral nature of sound. There is this resonance between the two materials that's intriguing, that's a joy to participate in. My father led a team of researchers at the Albert Einstein College of Medicine in New York, and he eventually was offered a chance to lead a new team at the University of California at San Diego. My father was a neuropathologist who specialized in Alzheimer's disease research. Early on in his work, he realized that the electron microscope, which is able to magnify samples several 100,000 times more than traditional microscopes, was essential for better understanding the nature of diseases. I was curious to see an electron microscope, and so I went out to San Diego and I met Jesus Macias, who operates the electron microscope at the university.
We look between 1,000 and 200,000 magnification. You find so many things you don't even know exist, or there are surprises. They ask you to look for something and it comes something else. It's a whole world inside each one of us.
My father said something that still fascinates me. He said that the classes that were the most important to him in college were the art history classes, because they taught him the value of seeing things in unusual ways. My father passed away in the summer of 2017, and several months after that, after he passed away, the imagery started changing. From the first tape pieces were more landscape oriented. They looked more like landscapes to me. They started to become noticeably more abstract. They looked like microscopic imagery. Then I remember that I had these images of his that he created through the electron microscope. And when I broke them out and compared them, I was shocked by the similarities. I thought I was losing my mind because I didn't think anyone else would notice this, that it was just so personal that I might not even be seeing it clearly. My mother had a great expression, "The universe is winking at you." I think she just thought it was, it spoke to something that we can't pin down, some larger wisdom. I was very close to my mother my whole life. She was warmer and easier to be around, and she was a poet. She was interesting and obsessed. I always thought that my interests came largely from my mother. Her poetic leanings and the Buddhism and the esoteric interests she invariably got entangled with. That was fertile ground for me to get into weird stuff as well. I got curious about anything she was curious about, and some things stuck and others didn't. Zen really stuck. That had a huge effect on my life and dovetailed with the interests I had in painting. When I was very young, I don't know how old, 8 or 9, I went to a museum with my mother, and there was a Turner painting. Turner was a master draftsman when he was younger. He was accepted into the Royal Academy at age 15. And his earlier paintings were very realistic, and they evolved to the late paintings to be extremely abstract. And the painting I saw at this early age was one of those, and was almost completely whited out. And I was so mesmerized by this image. And I remember saying to my mother, it's everything, but it's nothing. That feeling became the definition of art for me. And when I realized there was a similarity, it's bittersweet. I wish I could talk to him about it. Maybe in this silence, in this inability to talk about it now, we are sharing our work in a way that we couldn't before, for whatever reason.